Greetings and welcome. Thank you so much for your participation. It's always wonderful when agency leads and representatives from all across the state gather to support the disabilities community. Your time here is valuable, and we really appreciate the fact that you've taken the time to show up and to support one another and to learn and to network with each other. I wish I could be there, but unfortunately I have another engagement. But if I were there with you, I'd sit right down front and I would learn as much as I can, and I would take back all of the resources, all of the valuable information that was presented so that I could better serve those individuals who still don't know how much services, resources, programs, funding are available for anyone who wants to access those services. Thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful conference, and I look forward perhaps to next year.
Commissioner Ledbetter, I know that you had wanted very much to speak at the State Independent Living Council conference later this month in person, but unfortunately you had already scheduled another engagement during those dates. You couldn't reschedule it. So thank you very much for taking the time to speak with us today so we can share this video at the conference.
Thank you.
I want to talk about your history and experience because it is striking that so much of it seems tailor-made to prepare you for your current role. But first, can you tell us a little bit about that role and what you do as the Commissioner of the Alaska Department of Labor and Workforce Development?
Absolutely. Thank you, Jason, and what a wonderful question. Well, I serve as the Commissioner for the Alaska Department of Labor and Workforce Development. This role is what I would say it's the opportunity of a lifetime, because I have the opportunity to actually put into practice what I believe I have, promoted for so long during my time here with the department. I started my career in labor. I started in 2007 as a career development specialist, and then worked my way up to manager of the Mat-Su Job Center, and then to regional manager of the Anchorage Mat-Su Economic Region, which oversees all of the job centers in Anchorage and Wasilla. And now I have the privilege of serving as the commissioner, the lead executive for this great department that has such wonderful resources that are available to so many people. And so I would say in preparation for this role, I did not set out to be the commissioner. I just believe that if you do your work heartily and you do it in a way, in a manner that helps others, those efforts will be rewarded. And basically that's what happened, and here I am, and now I have the opportunity to not only promote the services at a larger scale, but to show what workforce development looks like. I represent workforce development.
Really another striking aspect, because not all commissioners have experience with the departments they lead. Some have zero experience, but you have this long history that you talked about with the department going back to 2007, and you moved up, as you talked about, to management and then leadership. So that experience of working at different levels throughout the department, has that been helpful in your leadership role now?
Absolutely. I don't believe I would be as effective as a commissioner not having the experience, the street credibility to some degree in this department. I know the value of the services. When I transitioned from the United States Air Force, one of the first introductions to the department was to show up at a job center to speak to a veterans representative, specifically a disabled veterans rep. And from that first conversation, I was able to learn of all of the array of services that were available that I had no idea about before. And it's something about when you learn something new and that information becomes valuable to you. And so I don't think that I would have this same experience if I had not served within the department. And, I just look at my time here as another layer of service. I served my country, and now I serve the residents of Alaska by connecting them with the resources that are necessary in order for them to be successful in the workplace.
So, and you mentioned that experience. You have experience as an Air Force veteran. You served in Operation Iraqi Freedom, and then you also have these other experiences in addition to your military service and your service in the department. You have been a community leader. You're a public speaker. You have been a human performance improvement consultant. How have those experiences helped you in your current role?
You know, Jason, I have a very unique background, and I don't think that I often realize how rich that experience is and how it connects me to so many different people. I have what's called an intersectionality of many aspects of community as a person of color, as an Air Force veteran, as someone who served in Operation Iraqi Freedom, as an individual who took the traditional education route. I went to a 4-year university, as someone who now has experience in academia as, a holder of a doctorate. And yet, I still have that sensibility to connect with individuals who they're just trying to, feed their families, raise their children, and they just need a little bit of support to assist them in doing that. And our department has many layers of services and programs that are available for these individuals. And so I really just, as someone who has a disability and have really worked very hard to not allow that disability to be a limiting factor, but recognizes that when you have the appropriate support, the apparatus of services at your disposal, you can still be successful. And so I would hope that my time and tenure as commissioner has served to raise awareness of the value of the resources that we have in this department, and particularly what those resources can do when people are not afraid to reach out and access those resources.
And that's we have a lot of wonderful divisions throughout the whole department, but I want to talk about one particular one right now for this conference. And I understand that you have previously spoken about the impact of this division, the Division of Vocational Rehabilitation. They help Alaskans with disabilities get and keep good jobs. Can you share a little about your experience with them with us?
Absolutely. Vocational Rehabilitation is the division within the Department of Labor that I think so few individuals really know about and really understand. When you think of people with disabilities, you think a lot of times of disabilities that can be visibly seen. And yet there are so many people who live with disabilities that cannot be easily identified. And so the Division of Vocational Rehabilitation in my life has been a lifeline. The consumers that access services through Voc Rehab, they have an opportunity to really utilize those services to become their best self. In addition to that, oftentimes we hear this phrase, DVR is the best kept secret. And I cringe when I hear that, because it should never be a secret. It should be that entity that we tout all the time, that we ring it from the rooftop that these services are available. And so as a young state worker, I never had the opportunity to necessarily access services through vocational rehabilitation, but my first office space was housed in that section. And so I had the opportunity to learn of the services that they provide, to refer some of my customers to their services. And as I watched and listened to the counselors and their Voc Rehab assistants, the way they managed their caseload, the way they cared for the consumer that represented that caseload, the way they really invested their time, their energy, their efforts into not selecting what they thought the individual should do, but allowing for consumer choice, allowing for that individual to determine for themselves what they wanted to do, how they wanted to contribute to their piece of the world. That sparked an interest for me. And I thought, you know what, this is something that even if I am not afforded the opportunity to serve as a member of the Voc Rehab team, knowing what they do and understanding their work, that it could be an individual that has a learning disability. It could be a young person who currently is in high school and they're on an IEP, but they don't really understand how their future will be impacted because of that. It could be a veteran that's returning, from Operation Iraqi Freedom, like myself, and not really knowing why you're different. Why is it that you're not the same as when you went? And so all of those different aspects of the individual, if they show up at one of our offices and they speak to a Voc Rehab counselor, they will then understand that they're not at the end of their career. Really, it's just the beginning.
Yes. Yeah, I know that the division's director, Director Mays, has also talked. He also cringed when he heard that best kept secret, and he likes to say we need to go from best kept secret to household name.
Absolutely.
And we're working on that very hard. One final question: as a leader, what are 3 things that you feel are highly important and that you want us all at the conference to remember?
That's a very good question, and it's very difficult to unpack that into 3 things. What I would say initially, as a leader, you need to lead by example. If you want to tout the wonderful things that your section, your agency, your department, your division, whatever it is that you represent, it needs to be presented in a way where people feel as if you understand what it is that service can provide to the customers that you serve. As a leader, I have attempted to lead with integrity. I believe in being selfless. And I also believe in doing something that a lot of leaders will not do. It's allowing people to see your vulnerabilities. I think that is what makes you a good leader. When you can connect with people, you can sense and feel the things that they perhaps may be going through, and you can relate to how difficult it is to navigate some of the services, some of the programs, how it is to navigate life when you are a person with a disability. I understand how people perceive people with disabilities, and it's unfortunate because oftentimes the very thing that some may feel is limiting, it's also the thing that propels you into greatness because you have a level of compassion for others that perhaps you wouldn't have had you not had that experience. And so I'm just proud to serve as commissioner. I was proud to serve as regional manager. I was also proud to serve as manager and even case manager. Any opportunity to serve others, any opportunity to make lives better, I think is worth, everything.
Thank you so much. We could see just from the history that you have shared with us today, leading by example at multiple levels and bringing all that together as the Commissioner of the Department of Labor and Workforce Development. Thank you so much for talking with me. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much, and have a great conference.